For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. Now, there's that old saying that you learn from your mistakes, right? Right? We learn something, that we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, and we carry on, right? Now, here's the deal. Is it okay to laugh at somebody else's failure? Now, you think about America's Funniest Home Videos, right? We see people failing all the time. We get a good laugh about it. But when somebody is trying something and it just doesn't work out and it goes terribly, terribly wrong, is it okay to laugh at them, whether it's behind their back or to their face? Or do you have to be supportive? And I'm not talking about maliciousness and beating somebody down emotionally and whatever, but I'll explain what I'm talking about, because I'm kind of sick of giving people advice and then them going somewhere completely different with it and then failing, because it's like, why did I waste my time? I'm going to tell you the story on The Scribble. It starts right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Now, I'm going to start out this segment by saying this is a pre-taped segment, and what happens sometimes is if I'm on a roll, if I'm ranting, if I'm just, worked up about something or have an opinion and just want... sometimes we just pre-tape like extra segments. So for me right now, talking into this microphone, it is June 2022. I don't know when you're going to hear this segment, so that I'm just putting that out there for the record. Now, because I'm turning 40 this summer, now again, when you're listening to this, I might already be 40, so this is why I'm giving this disclaimer and this giant asterisk leading up to the segment. Now that I'm turning 40, I have this not giving two shits about thing mentality. And I haven't for a really long time. And I think as an entrepreneur, you kind of have to have that. You have to have that thick skin. You have to have that shield, if you will. I mean, I don't even really know what to call it. Just a hard shell, a gruff exterior. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? There's so many ways you can describe it. And since since I ended my radio show a year ago this month, a year ago in June 2021, and I've kind of enjoyed the retirement life, quote unquote. I haven't given two craps. So I'm one of those people now who, if you, I'm trying to think, like not if you burn our relationship, but like I'll cut you out really quickly and easily now, and I have no problem doing that. See, back in the day when I was about 22 or 23, and I worked at the airport in my hometown, and this was back in the day when your cell phone could only store 50 numbers, 50 names and phone numbers. You certainly didn't have anything like email addresses or whatever. Like I'm talking like the old Nokia phone, the old schoolers like me, you know what I'm talking about. And so my whole thing was, oh my God, I've got 50 people, 50 people in my phone. I'm popular, people like me, I'm Mr. Hollywood, whatever. So what I would do was I would take the bus from the airport to my parents' house where I was living, and I would basically start going through my phone, starting at the A's. So you have, I'm just making up a name, Ashley or Aaron, an A name, Ashley, Aaron. Okay, so I would call Ashley or Aaron on the way home. And I would get voicemail. Okay, oh, hey, just me, say hi, give me a call, let's chat. Then I go to the next, if it's A or B or whatever. So now I got, Bob. I'm, again, making up names. So I call Bob, and I get the voicemail. All right, good. So, hey, just me, just giving you a call. I want to say hi, whatever. Yeah, we'll talk later. And then I get to the next number. What was happening was that I obviously wanted something to do on the way home, right? I wanted to talk. I wanted to kill some time because you didn't have TV shows on your phone, right? This is where I'm going with that. And what I found was I would be like halfway home and I haven't spoken to anybody. Nobody's answered the call. And so I didn't get it at the time. I was just like, all right, well, people are busy. But no, they can call you back, right? I don't know if we had texting. We might have had texting. Like I said, we're going back about 15, 17 years. I guess there was texting, I guess. And nobody would get back to me. Now, I didn't get it at the time. Now, I was also heavily medicated on anxiety and depression meds, so that might have been part of it. But I was just so optimistic that people liked me. I'm this funny person. Everybody would come to me when they had relationship troubles. You had a fight with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or your parents, or you had trouble at work, or you got fired, or you bombed a test in school, or you just whatever. That's when people would call me, right? But now when I'm wanting to talk and to chat or whatever, it was very hard to get an answer. So it took me a while. Once I then did get my self-esteem and my really just a feeling of self-worth, I would say, that's when I built up the strength to go and say, okay, you know what? Because I was always the person who was the throwaway friend. And by that, I mean, when, making up these names, Bob. So Bob would get into a relationship. Suddenly he doesn't come to Jeremy anymore. He's not chatting with JB as much. Now I get that, right? Because your attention focuses on your partner then when you're in a relationship. But that doesn't mean you disappear altogether. So what that was making me feel is, oh good, so I'm filler. I'm okay to talk to when Bob is bored. When Bob is feeling down, when Bob, that's when JB, the phone rings or you get the text or whatever it is. And people knew that I would, to call me at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, or, whatever time, I would make that. If I was working or if I was in school, because I was in school at the time, I would actually remove myself from class because I saw that you called and, he's calling me at 10 a.m. This must be something important. And I would go and I would hide in the bathroom or whatever I had to do and I would return the call because that's just the type of friend that I was. And so over the years of doing that, though, I realized that it wasn't being reciprocated. And so then I started to feel like, okay, you know what? This person, not that great for me. Was he there for me? Was she there for me? And then when I started to write books and I would do book signings, that's when I really, really measured it. I was like, okay, wait a second. How many of these people came out to buy a book? How many of them came to a book signing? How many, or just bought the book, period? And to me, that was also something. I didn't ask anybody ever to buy a book. That was something that I made sure that I never, ever did. I will shamelessly plug my products on the radio or whatever it was, but I've never liked being put on the spot. And especially when your little niece or nephew comes to you at a family get-together. Do you want to sponsor me? Do you want to buy some chocolates? Well, I don't carry money to a family get-together because I'm not expecting to be. Why would I need to bring cash to a family get-together? I'm being solicited now. So I've never asked people. I might jokingly go and say, oh, how many books for you? But I've never directly, verbally said to somebody, would you like to buy my book? Never to a family member, never to a friend. If you want to come, I'll tell you about the book signing. If you come, great. But I'm not, I just, because I don't like that expectation. And I know that, like, if you want to come, then you'll ask about the details of it, right? And so that was sort of my gauge of, who's coming to my book signings to support me, who's, pepping me up, who's really boosting me up when I need it, right? Because we all go through shitty things in life, right? I'm very selective about who I open up to, though. If I've had, relationship issues or whatever it is, there's just a very, very small group of people. Because I felt like, you know what, I don't want to open up and be vulnerable and expose myself, or not expose myself. Yeah, dirty. I'm just not going to do that if I feel like you don't care. Maybe when I was heavily medicated I always joked that you could stick a fork in my arm and I wouldn't feel it. That's just how numb I was to everything because of the medication. So now fast forward to approaching 40, where people come to me for advice on, business, on other things, just because I have had success, right? I've had success on the radio. I've had success in the newspaper. I've had success publishing books. We've got success with our different product lines, our men's swimwear and underwear line, our coffee company. So now that e-commerce is kind of a big thing, right? Especially during Corona, people were looking at doing their own little side business or, some kind of a web store to sell things online. I have people who have been in my life for many years who are now kind of wanting that motivation or even just the inspiration as to how I got to where I am with those projects. And this is the least that I have worked in my entire grown-up life. I've worked since I was 13 years old out at the store at the lake by my parents' cottage. I've worked from the time I was 13. I was fired from just a crap ton of jobs because I've been outspoken and whatever it is. And then when I became the boss and I was in charge and I was making the decisions, that's the happiest time I've ever been professionally because I'm doing what I like. I'm not answering to somebody. I'm not following their rules. Now, again, when you're on the radio, you are following certain rules. But I also just kind of have good taste anyway. I'm not generally a big, crude swearing kind of. I do that on here for emphasis, for entertainment or comedic value. But I don't normally. I'm not like that just because I'm an old school broadcaster in the first place. So people come and will hit me up for advice, and they'll go and say, "Oh, hey, I wanted to start a store about women's accessories. I want to do hats and scarves and whatever. What? So what would you tell me?" Well, one, I don't do marketing to female fashion. I've never done that, but I'm just now okay. So you've got me thinking. That's a challenge because I've never had to consider that before. So let me get my brain going. Okay, well, let me see. You could reach out to beauty pageant contestants, because that's it's a very niche community, but they would be into accessories like hats and scarves and what have you. So reach out to a bunch of them, quote unquote influencers. I hate that term, but start to follow them on social media, find out what they're wearing, what they like, what kind of colors are they wearing. If they're always wearing pink, if a lot of them are wearing pink, then get pink products, right? If a lot of them are wearing patterned or just a solid color, take that into consideration. And so these are all just things that, again, I kind of was pulling out of my ass, for better use of a term, right? I don't know. And so one of my former friends, I guess I'd call her now, she was very much considering pursuing this. And when I would go, I guess it's about last summer now at this point, she talked about it for a very long time, just never pulled the trigger, never actually did things though. That when I would go and I'd be walking my dogs and she would be at work on, in her office or wherever she was at work, we would literally talk for hours. Talking for hours. I'd be giving her ideas. Well, hey, you could do this. Well, here, this is what we did for such and such. You could just sort of do it this way because it's females and, did that. So many different ideas. And her focus was always elsewhere. She was the star. She was the founder and the CEO. It was all about her. She had an About Me page made up before anything else. She had logos and all this stuff designed. And I was just like, work on getting a customer base, though. You've got to develop a tone and an approach and a style, a vibe. You can't all of a sudden be this big philanthropic woman and your Instagram page has been online for 2 days. You can't go and say that the company is doing this and we're donating to this and we've got this and we're doing this and we're doing this. It's 2 fucking days. You're 2 fucking days old. Let's ease up here. Let's slow down. You're not going to get, people, you're not going to crash your website one day after launching when nobody's heard about you. Because again, let's be honest, a women's accessory store is a dime a dozen, just as a men's swimwear store is, or a coffee. I'm not knocking her specifically. That's it. Just the reality is that's how it is. You've got a coffee line. Well, coffee is, all right, great. Now you're competing with the likes of Starbucks or anybody who sells coffee on Amazon. I mean, that's just how things go in the marketplace now. So what I'm getting at here is she would pick my brain for advice. And again, it's not that I didn't clock the times, but I would say over the course of our discussions while she was talking about launching it, when she did finally launch it, you're probably looking at upwards of 40 to 50 hours of conversation that we have. Because again, we would literally, for about an hour each day for I don't even know how long, we had probably spent 40 to 50 hours just talking about giving her ideas and brainstorming and whatever. And then when she launches and she goes a completely different direction, there's a part of me that sits there and goes, I want to watch this crash and burn. Now, you're going to say, well, you're a terrible friend, JB. Why would you want your friend to fail? Well, because here's the deal. You come to me for advice. You come to me because you want to know this stuff. I give you, you can replicate this almost exactly the same way. And you don't take any of the advice. And you've made this all about you, not about your customer is the star. This is something that I told her from the very beginning. Your customer will always be the star. If you've made an About Us page and it's your bio and you're the CEO and founder and you love giving back before you've done any sort of customer outreach, that to me is saying right there, red alert, red alert, red alert. I mean, that's our stores that we have the two stores. We've got my husband's coffee line and then we've got our underwear store. Nowhere on there is Jeremy Bradley, the best-selling author, the radio host. Nowhere there is it. I am not name dropped on any of these stores. That is not what it's not about me. It's not about the About Us. I don't even know, quite honestly, if we have an About Us page on the Fun store. We made it 3 years ago. I don't even know. But if there is an About Us page, it does not name me directly. It does not even talk about, radio host, newspaper call. It doesn't say anything. It just says that we, I don't know that we have an About Us page, really. I don't know. So that to me was kind of like, okay, now again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm the biggest and the best entrepreneur out there. I'm not saying that, oh my God, I've become a millionaire overnight because I did this and this and this and that. You want my advice? That's what I'm saying is you come to me, I waste my time is basically how I view this. I waste my time telling you all these things, giving you all these ideas, and you don't do any of it. And you've turned, sorry, there's a part of me that wants to watch this fail. I mean, really. And we're not friends anymore, just for a different reason. But that's so something like that. I'm kind of like, I want to watch from the sidelines and just see how badly this goes. Because you're not a friend. Because basically what that says to me, and I'm not easily offended. I'm not saying that I was offended by her doing it, because it's her waste of money. It's her, I don't know. If she succeeded, I don't get anything from it, and if she fails, I don't get anything from it. Really, I wasn't getting a 10% commission on all sales, right? Then if I had a stake in it, sure, I'd want to help her. And so yeah, it was just kind of fascinating that she ended up folding after about 2 months. And we did have a conversation after that where I was like, I told you so. Why did you did this, you did that, you didn't do, you might have taken the advice and then just done a complete 180 with it. So it's like in a roundabout way, you can say that you ruined my advice. I mean, all right, I'll give you that. And then another friend another colleague, I'll say, or acquaintance maybe even, who I had known for many, many years, a radio colleague. And he's one of those, again, one of those people who has idea after idea after idea after idea. And he'll constantly, if I talked with him, let's say every second or third day, on day one, or phone call number one, he's telling me about such and such idea and how he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing that. Day 3 or day 4, I follow up, maybe I'll call him and go, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, you know what? I'm going to be doing this and this and this. Okay, wait a second. Just the other day, we were talking about something completely different than this. And now you're on something else that's not even connected in any way, shape, or form. Okay. And then we talk again, let's say day 7 or 8. And I'm interested, because again, as an entrepreneur, I get excited when these people come to me with ideas, because I don't know, it's like, now we've got something else that we can bond over, that we can talk about. We can, hey, this is what I learned from it. I'd like to see you implement it and see if it works for you, right? And so, again, I'm giving advice on he was having digital downloads of something. And so I had said, okay, well, you could do it this way. You could bundle it. Now, all the while, this is one thing that I will never say you should do this. Anytime that somebody came to me for advice when I was in my 20s or 30s, relationships, family, work, school, whatever. I've never said, because the word should is something that I've always hated. So if anybody has ever said, oh, you should do this, I shut down right away, because you're telling me what to do. And that's why I've been fired from every job that I've had almost. And look at this. I'm going to be 40 and basically semi-retired, and just, we sell men's underwear, and I write a newspaper column, and I host, I talk to celebrities. I mean, really, I've gone from working 16, 18-hour days and slugging it out to now waking up at 10:30 every morning, having a gorgeous husband who goes to the gym and gets pumped up and ready, and we have a good time every day. So I've never said that you should do this. So I've always just kind of put it out there. These are some of my ideas. I might say I would do it this way, or I might do it this way, or I could see myself doing. And if you take that as me saying, do this, that's on you. That's on you. It's your business. It's your life. It's your relationship. It's your whatever. Who am I to say? And so that was something that I've made very clear. Okay, well, that's how you want to do it. All right, well, maybe package, bundle these downloads like this, and then you can offer a promotional code, or you can do this, or you can grab an email list, or you could tweet this every other day, or you could do this on Mondays, or do this on... And then when the person goes and launches that project, and I'll be very clear with these people, like I said, I think I might have said it just a moment ago, I'm not going to tell you that it's a stupid... hold on, let me think about this for a second because I don't want to be called out as a liar. If I think the idea is really, really, really stupid and you're going to blow thousands of dollars, whatever, then I might go and say, I don't like the idea. But generally, I'll be supportive because, again, I like the challenge. I like the challenge of creating something out of nothing, because really that's what I've done. My entire, creating radio shows, writing books, coming up with an underwear and a swimwear line out of nowhere. I mean, I like that challenge, right? I don't even drink coffee. So if you were to go and say, hey, JP, are you going to launch a coffee line when you get older? I've literally never had a sip of coffee in my life, and here we are with a coffee line that's done really well over the past, we're coming up to a year. Again, when we're taping this, we're almost at a year for Buff Boy Brewing. So it's interesting for me to kind of keep my opinions to myself. I might think they're stupid ideas, but I'm not going to discourage you unless it's really, really bad, and I foresee you blowing a lot of money on it. But so the digital, I'm kind of like, well, the downloads that this guy is going to be creating are kind of a dime a dozen on YouTube already, on Audible, on whatever. Now, again, you could, like I said, you could say the same thing about a coffee line, right? Coffee is coffee, underwear is underwear, book is a book. And so I kind of just kept it to myself. And so he didn't really do any of the things that I was talking about. He's one of those people who he wants to, we got to go already? Okay. Okay. They're playing me off in my ear. We're 20 minutes into the show already, and I haven't taken a breath. They just said, thank you guys. But he's one of those people who wants to be the creative, and that's it. He doesn't want to have to do the marketing, the interaction. He just wants to create and put it out there. Now, his expectation was that he'd already done the math in his head. So he's already counting the money, right? Or counting the chickens before they hatch, I think is the term. He's already counting the money that, I just need this many downloads. I'll be pulling in $2,000 a month. That's some good extra cash, whatever. And I said to him, look, I have an established swimwear store already. And if we are not on it, if we're not constantly interacting with people, pushing out promotions and do whatever, we would not have $2,000 a month in sales. It's just not, like, yes, there's a following. Yes, there's certainly a dedicated customer base. But we can see that if we pull back for about 2 or 3 days on promotion or interaction, engagement, posting, whatever, if we pull back on that, there are days when we get 0 sales. And that's scary, right? And that's not our only source of income for the company, so it's fine if that happens. But certainly if you're relying on this, the swimsuits that we're selling are $40, $40 to $45. We have to sell just 1 or 2. If you're looking at an average person's income, like you're selling 1 or 2 of those and you're making you're pulling in about $100 for the day, minus the cost of the product or the shipping or, whatever it is. So even if we don't sell 2 swimsuits, which are still a bigger ticket item than your $3 or $4 digital download, like you've got to do the math now on how many you need to sell and people to download. That means that you're going to have to be producing this much content like every week or every month or whatever it is. And you're going to need upwards of like 1,000 people every month to be downloading and paying for it. But meanwhile, I can go on YouTube or Google and type in the search term that he's basically the content that he's creating, and get it for free, or get it from people who already have 2 million views or followers on YouTube. So I don't necessarily care for the product or the idea. I don't think that it's great, but hey, prove me wrong. That's even better. Maybe that's your motivation. Prove JB wrong. Prove that I don't know everything. And so then I had the way that this kind of friendship sort of fizzled out just in the last couple months, I guess, was we had spoken, and he was going to get together with somebody who was a great digital marketer who was going to jump on board and was going to do this and help sell. And I said, okay, well, you know what, maybe if he's going to be paid commission, you could do like the bundling, and that'll be, if you're $3 or $4 a download, I mean, if you're going to cut him in, you're basically going to go into the meeting with this guy saying, I'm going to give you 20 cents per download. I mean, I'd look at that and go, fuck off. Why would I'm going to work my ass off to land one customer and be paid 20 cents for that? Piss off. So I said, do the bundling thing. This way the person downloads 4 or 5 things. Now the purchase is $25 or whatever it might be. I don't remember the amount. And now this guy's getting $5 per download or whatever it is. Just cut him in. But if he's doing the majority of the work and the PR and the marketing and the customer service and the interaction and the engagement, cut him in on a little bit more. And so it was very fascinating because I didn't rain on his parade and be like, buddy, you're not going to be pulling in $2,000 a month from this. I'm sorry. You're just not. You're not. It's just, and even me, who has an established personality on the radio, in the newspaper, in books, and I don't even have that kind of clout. And I was on the radio for 15 years. So, or I have been on the radio now for 17 years or so, 15 years for our major show, our major syndicated radio show that had 300,000 listeners. That's having a bit of clout. I mean, this is just a guy who's, making digital downloads because he's just having fun with it. That's fine. But don't convince yourself that it's going to be this cash cow and you're going to be rolling in it. And then you're going to have just this residual money coming in. And then he even said that, well, when I die, the money will still be coming in for my partner. And, he's going to have, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. And I'm sitting here on the other end going, buddy, that is not realistic at all. That's just not. I don't even get. I've got a best-selling book. I wasn't even. You've got to slug it out. It's just not that easy. That's not. So for any author out there as well, he wasn't producing books, but for any author, I mean, let me just tell you where I went wrong. I thought that I'm going to write a book, it's going to be in the bookstore, and it's going to be selling out like crazy. You're one of literally tens of thousands of books in that bookstore. You've been to a bookstore, you know how big they are. You're going to get on a bottom shelf somewhere. You're going to be, and really, it's just not the reality. If you're a Kardashian, sure, you might sell out the section and get, prime placement. But you're just some nobody like me when I started out. Well, that's not the reality. It's just not. And even again, like I said, I was in the newspaper and I was on the radio and I still wasn't moving books like that. I mean, it took a lot of work and promotion. I was having to do, I know we got to go. Or we don't even have another, we'll take a break. We'll be right back on the Scribble.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. In our final remaining moments, send me an email, live@jbonair.com. I want to know about giving advice, okay? So if somebody gave you advice and it was completely wrong and it caused chaos, I want to hear from you, live@jbonair.com. Or if you gave advice and somebody took it completely the wrong way, as I've talked about all show, I want to hear from you. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some